Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Poland Bus Ride POV Experience Sights and Sounds. I think I've heard before that the public transportation system, especially the buses in Poland, are very good, so I'm very excited to check this out. I think it doesn't say specifically if this is in Warsaw, but I'm going to imagine it is. And yes, I'm very excited, so let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe. Are the colors red and yellow, the whole public transportation system in this body? It's Morrison? Because I think everything's red and yellow. I thought it was every line had a different color and that's how you identify them sort of easily. Okay, it's super crowded. They have the card. Do they have the card reader or is it a phone thing? Oh, they're offering the seat. Oh my god, I'd love to see that. It's always very nice. I think people always, I think sometimes are a little bit of, oh, why would I give my seat up to someone else? But I think that's a lost art. Not a lot of people do that these days. So I love that it's not completely lost. Bank Pekao. Wonder what Pekao means. They have pretty big buses. They have the seats that are also I think I always found them a little bit awkward. The seats that are, you know, you're standing, you have the seat here and the other seat there, so you're gonna have to look at everyone in the face. I found them a little bit awkward. Is you're gonna have to make eye contact, which usually it happens with certain subway seats, but in buses sometimes is also the case. But I prefer the buses in which there's no of that. There's everyone sort of looking to the driver, and that's it. It's really funny because everyone tries to avoid the eye contact, so everyone sort of I'm gonna have to look the other way. I don't know why it is. It's so awkward to make, I don't know, eye contact with a stranger, but I don't know what it is, but it's definitely a thing. Oh, they have I love that this is like a pretty big avenue because yeah, you have every bus station is between what, 2 blocks from each other, maybe even less, maybe 2 or 3 blocks, which I really like. But that usually happens in pretty big avenues, in which you have to make a stop in every 2 or 3. Yeah, you know, it's they're so close together. But well, yeah, of course, when you're in a bus, they're close together. If you're walking, well, you know, they're not as near as they seem. Especially if the weather is not nice outside, whether that is because it's really hot or because it's very cold. Then you're thinking, oh wow, why would I thought this was close? It isn't at all. It's just a couple of blocks, but I like it. It's very organized. I always find it weird when people are standing and there's available seats, because some people I know do it because they don't want to miss their stop, or they're no, I'm not gonna, my stop is just 4 or 5 blocks away. It's fine, but I find it kind of, you can sit down. It's fine. But I've been there in the position of you're scared you're gonna miss your stops, or you're just, I'm ready to run, basically. This is a very, very pretty town. Again, I don't know if this is Warsaw, but it's very nice. The buses are pretty big. Oh my god, they're huge. What? I didn't realize this bus doesn't look that big. Is that a huge roundabout? Oh, are those RBs? Okay, sure. Why not? This parking space reminds me, well, this is a parking lot. It reminds me a little bit of the American ones, just because it's sort of, reminds me, not the same, but it's really funny. It's just, this flat space with just a lot of cars. Usually when you have them, they're sort of separated. They're not near anything. You don't have them, right in the middle of the street. But it's really funny. I wonder how, well, I think it's a matter of space, why some places have underground parking and others have this sort of parking lot, in the forefront. Yeah, I guess it's about saving space, I assume. Oh, this looks nice. Were those restaurants? Oh my god, I will be turn around. What is this place? It looks like a viaduct, an old Roman viaduct. I wanna go back. I wanna check that out. I love that. It's just the stone, the masonry, and you have the little arches. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Is this a stop or is this, oh, it's a traffic light probably. Oh, I'm just seeing the in the background. The red and yellow one, the buses are probably not buses, they're trolleys. And I just I just saw it. Oh, they have trolleys as well. But they're the same red and yellow. Yeah, all the city, all the city public transport, I think it's red and yellow. Really nice. Do they say the stop out loud? Because yeah, I think I listened to. Oh, okay. This is our stop. We're getting off. That's really interesting because not all places have the thing in which someone. Well, not someone. It's a pre-recorded voice that tells you the stop. Not all places have this, which I like. I'm wondering how much we covered in this ride. How much distance? Because it's everything looks quite, I don't know, it looked quite near, but who knows, right? I don't know, I have no idea. So this is very, very nice. I love the public transport, all the buses. I can't believe it took me that long to find out. No, it's, there are trolleys as well. But yeah, I think it looked very spacious. They're pretty big. Those buses, they have all those huge buses. I love, again, maybe this is because I did mention, they said names, but I have no idea where exactly those names are. Oh, I mean, I guess they're neighborhoods, but I'm guessing it's Warsaw, but I have no idea. But I'm gonna assume, yes, it's probably Warsaw. I want to know, I have two questions. It's how much did we, because it was 5 minutes, but there was almost no traffic. They didn't really stop. Well, he stopped for a couple of seconds, but I want to know how much distance was covered when it came to blocks. And also I think if you were walking, how long would it take you? Because sometimes, especially, and I'm surprised about the traffic situation because I don't know if this was, rush hour. I don't know. Because sometimes in some places, even when there's no rush hour, there's still a lot of, I don't know, there's still a lot of traffic. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. There's always going to be a lot of traffic. So you have to really plan accordingly if you have to be somewhere one specific hour or one specific time. And sometimes, even as crazy as it seems, but sometimes that's the case. When it's so incredibly, there's so much traffic and, the bus has to make a bunch of stops because obviously that's the nature of the bus. Sometimes it's even easier, well, not easier, it's going to be faster if you just walk, which sounds crazy because, you're not, if you're walking, quickly, but it's not as if you're running, you're sprinting all over town. Which it sounds crazy because come on, how are you gonna go faster than a bus or a car? But yeah, sometimes it happens. Like when there's a traffic jam or again it's rush hour. Seriously, it's gonna go faster if I just walk. So again, I would like to know what's the traffic situation over there. It is Warsaw. I'm just realizing, no, it is absolutely Warsaw. But I think the names, the names are throwing me off. But I think it's just, the Chodcy, Centrum. I think those are probably neighborhoods or places in Warsaw. But yeah, I want to know what the traffic's like. Because was this recorded at one specific time in which there was a rush hour, it was fine, everything, traffic was light? Or no, sometimes it does come, sometimes it really does, bearing there was an accident or something. Do you ever get a lot of, heavy traffic? Because, I don't know, because sometimes, again, a lot of people do not, and again, crazy, but sometimes it happens. You don't really use public transport when it comes to buses specifically because you're going to take a long time. So that's why you rather use, you either walk because, again, it's faster, or you use the subway. Because sometimes even when, it's not precisely the subway station, the nearest subway station is not necessarily, super close to where I want to be. I know that even if I use, the subway, I'm going to, even counting and amounting for, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to walk a couple of blocks to my destination. Still, I'm gonna get there quicker than if I were in the bus, because again, of these stops, it has to stop every couple of blocks, and then the traffic, and there's traffic, and there's also the traffic lights, and there's just so many things that, again, just crazy to me how that happens, because again, you're thinking it's a human, even if you're sort of, oh, I'm walking really, really fast, or even then you're sort of running. How are you going to go faster than an actual vehicle that it's made and was invented for the sole purpose of going faster, than humans? But, again, that happens. So I want to know what the traffic thing and what's the traffic situation in Warsaw, because the traffic was super light. And also one thing that I loved, and I'm not sure if this, maybe this is the case because this is, it seems to be like probably the central avenue, or one of the more central sort of roads in the main roads in Warsaw. But they had, I think it was around 3 lanes, it was more than 2. It was really, they were wide, they were a lot of them, and they were wide. Really important part, because when I think of Europe, I don't really think specifically of those types of roads. I think more of those really narrow, tiny roads in which, oh my god, all the streets are super small and everything's tiny. And even something, I don't know, so a place like London, they have the big buses, the double-decker buses, but they're still sort of, I don't know, they're big, but I can't explain it. They're sort of, they have to fit in those little streets. I don't know if this is a matter of perspective, and no, I'm crazy and I'm talking nonsense, or no, this is an actual thing based on if you actually measure them. I'm right, I have no idea. But again, I think the double-decker buses, I think maybe are a little bit narrower. I think they're made like that. And obviously, again, you have, it's a double-decker bus, but they're still, they're not that wide, because my theory is that they have to go through these very narrow spaces. And I think that's usually the case. Obviously, not all the cities have double-decker buses, but it's, in Europe, usually the streets are just very small, because obviously they're ancient. So it's not as if they were built for cars. The cars had to adapt to the buildings around it, and they had to build the roads around the buildings. So it's, I don't know, this was surprising to me, because but this avenue looks ginormous compared to something, to some things that I was expecting in Europe specifically. But again, maybe not, I don't have to paint one, not all Europe is the same. I'm aware of it. It's important to keep in mind. Yeah, I don't want to offend anyone. But yeah, sometimes it happens, and yeah, I know there are other places in which this doesn't always occur. You have some. And then there's a big one in Paris, in which it's also pretty big. So yeah, it's not usually, again, what I'm saying is Spain also has them. It's not as if, oh yeah, all the streets are just super tiny. But it's just surprising to me that, oh yeah, of course you also have this big avenues with a bunch of lanes, which I like. It's, to me, I think that's how it should be, but I understand probably logistically it can't always happen. But yes, ideally that's what I would do. Yes, but with those huge avenues and these huge lanes, ideally, yeah, sure, ideally if we had the space, we're probably going to do everything. But I like it, because it looks, I don't know, everything in the city is also very beautiful. They have some beautiful looking buildings. But again, it's just the thing. Oh no, everything looks wide open and you don't look as crowded. And there are no skyscrapers, at least in this part of town. All the buildings, they were kind of smaller, so you don't get the sense as if you're being super crowded. Because sometimes in big cities, when you have all those huge buildings, sometimes it can feel a little bit, not claustrophobic, because maybe I'm exaggerating, but it just feels a little bit, everything feels a little bit crowded, because, again, you're surrounded by stuff. But in this case, the fact that you can literally look up and you see the sky, they have a beautiful blue sky, it was so clear. It's actually really nice, and I think that's a little bit of character to a city, and I love that. Having said that, I would always say, if I ever go to Warsaw, yes, I would take the bus, just because I want to see it. It looks well maintained. It looks very efficient. It looks great. I love people were so kind. They were, oh yeah, they were giving up their seats and stuff. So, and the actual sort of bus itself, it looks incredibly well maintained. But it stops every couple of blocks. I love it. I would do it for the experience. But personally, I think I would just love to walk around just because the city looks so beautiful. And especially in an afternoon like this, well, I don't know if it was morning or afternoon, it looks so pretty that, oh no, I want to walk around just because I think it looks really nice. I want to visit the weird looking thing with the masonry. It was, I don't know, it was an overpass, or I have no idea what it was, but it was a sort of semi-tunnel. That's what I was thinking. It was like a Roman aqueduct. I don't know. Or a viaduct. I don't know. But I want to see that. And I think when you're walking, I think that it just lends itself for you to stop in places and see maybe, oh yeah, I want to take a detour. I think it's just nicer if you're trying to explore a city. It's nicer to walk. Obviously, if you have things to do, well, no, you take the bus, of course. You can't be distracted. But also, and another thing that actually surprised me as well about the bus and sort of the behavior of the people itself is that, you're constantly hearing, oh, things in Europe, how things in Europe are and how different they are, because everyone's a little bit more quieter. Everyone's silent, and again, they're respectful, mindful of their personal space. And in this case, people, it was it was super crowded, but people were just bumping into each other, and it was fine. It wasn't this, oh my god, they're bumping into each other. And people were talking. Obviously, they weren't being super loud because that's a little bit rude if you're you're in public, and especially in an enclosed space as a bus. It's a little bit rude to just speak out loud. But again, you can quietly chat, either with your phone or with someone. So I think, but people were chatting around. It wasn't super quiet, this completely silent place. And also, again, by all the things people are talking about, Europe, people a little bit more close and then a little bit more reserved. But, they were giving their seats, and that's a normal thing. I love that. It's okay. I think a lot of the things, our preconceived notions about Europe, I don't think they apply to all of Europe, which, of course, that's how it's sure, right? Not everything's a cliche, or not all cliches. Cliches are made for a reason, but they don't really apply to everything. And another thing that I loved about the bus is that they also, I think, the name of the station, or the stop is said out loud. Not all buses have that. Sometimes you really have to know the subways. I think it's more common. Obviously, all the subways do that. But with buses, I think it's just sometimes you just have to know. You have to be like, oh yeah, this is my stop, because sometimes they don't really say it. So I like that. It looks really sleek, modern, and just kind of perfect, actually. So yeah, I want to go just for the experience. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.